5 walk-offs in 9 home games for the Giants, the latest coming in the form of the Little League variety. The vibes couldn't possibly be higher.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and Rotographs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, hosting the show for over 6 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, so check us out there if you have not already, and please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you're following the show. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. And coming up on today's show, oh my goodness, what a way to end a ball game. Heliot Ramos hits a little dribbler up the third base line, and it turns into a Little League home run, meaning it's a single and 2 errors. It wasn't an actual home run. And the Giants walked off the Texas Rangers for the second consecutive game. It was the Giants' 5th walk-off of the season. And that yesterday was April 27th, and they've got 5 walk-offs. And they had walked off the Rangers in the previous game as well, and by the exact same score, 3-2. And like I said, they've played a total of 9 home games. No, they have 9 home wins, and 5 of them have been walk-offs. And so it's just a lot of fun is what that is. And it's also playing well in clutch, late, close situations. And so for Heliot Ramos there, just a total adventure around the bases. And It all worked out well in that he didn't try to get to third base initially. Like, he slowed up at second, even though he could have easily made it to third if he was running hard. But the fact that he slowed up ended up accidentally working in their favor because it drew a throw to third, and the ball got away on that throw as well. The ball got away on the initial throw from the former Giant Luke Jackson on the swinging bunt as well. So the Giants end up with a record of 19-10 after this latest win, and they're just across the board, like 9-4 at home, 10-6 away, 15-7 against teams that are at or above 500, which is a lot of games. I mean, if you look at some of the teams around the league, they have not played that many games against teams at or above 500. And if you look around the league, like the Padres, for example, they have a 17-11 record, but they're 10-11 against teams at or above 500. Giants have not played the Colorado Rockies yet. That team is 4-23, and they will play the Rockies after they go to San Diego. And then if we look at just some of the more, I don't want to say advanced statistics, but like in extra innings games, the Giants are 2-0. In one-run games, they're 7-3. And one thing that just kind of jumps off the page is that against right-handed starters, they're 17-3. In games started by right-handed pitchers, 17-3, which is ridiculous. And against left-handed starters, they're 2-7. So that first number is so crazy. I would not expect anything like that rate to continue, but it is just worth pointing out that they have dominated right-handed starting pitching to a ridiculous tune. So it's just the vibes couldn't be higher, like I said, and they finally go into this off day, the first time since I think it was the 11th of April when they started their series in New York facing the Yankees. And so the Giants ended up going 10-7 on this 17-game stretch without an off day. And that might not sound like the most impressive record, but when you consider the teams they were facing, the travel, and the weather, like in New York, it was very cold and wet. And they took 2 out of 3 in New York against the Yankees. And if you look also, I've said this before, but what did those teams that they were playing do right after the Giants left town? And like the Yankees overall on the season, they've got a record of 17-11, and they're 10-5 at home. And so that team is no slouch. I mean, that is the second best record in the American League, and the Giants just went in there and took 2 out of 3. And then they go to Philadelphia, where, you know, that team is always a tough team every year. They've kind of been scuffling lately, actually, but they've won 2 in a row. They were scuffling a little bit, but now they've won 2 in a row, and they split. The Giants split in Philadelphia, even though they had some tough losses. And then they go to Anaheim, and this is the one series that they lost in this entire stretch of 17 games. And really, they should have won. They were up 4-1 in the 9th inning of the finale, and they blew it with Ryan Walker blowing the save. So then you finally come home, and you take 3 out of 4 from the Brewers, who are 14-15 only on the season, but that's still a good team, and at the end of the year they'll probably be very much in contention. And then the Rangers came in, a lot of people considering them one of the favorites in the American League, and they came in with a record of 14-11, and so the Giants took care of them too. They didn't score a bunch of runs. Giants only scored 6 runs in the series, and they allowed 6. And so they just, like I said, it's been a lot of like clutch hitting. It's not like they have necessarily. It's crazy, actually, in some ways, because if you look at their overall like batting average, on base, slugging, none of it is super impressive. But then if you look at runs scored per game, that's at a level that's higher than you would expect based on the other numbers that I just pointed out. And so it's been like the formula that gets talked about, I think, too much, but it's actually been that way finally this year, where it really has been pitching while defense. This is a bit of a area that is a sensitive subject, not a sensitive subject, a controversial subject, not even controversial. It's just one of those times where like errors and some of the more advanced defensive numbers, because errors do not tell the whole story, those two things don't align. And so have the Giants actually been a good defensive team? Errors say yes. Some of the more advanced stuff says no. So we're going to take a look at that later on. But the bullpen and clutch hitting have really been the decisive factors for the Giants to be 19-10. They're in first place in the National League West, which nobody would have guessed. Almost 30 games into the season, it's still early. Like 29 games, is still a small sample in baseball, and there's a long way to go. 133 games to go. Right? If I'm doing my math correctly there. So that is a lot of baseball left. So you can't hang the pennant just yet after 29 games. But nonetheless, you really couldn't have had a better start to the season than what the Giants have been able to do. And to be in first place in this division, where you've got 4 teams that are legitimately good right now, is kind of amazing. And it's the second best record in all of baseball, behind the New York Mets. And yet still MLB.com won't put them in the top 5 in their power rankings. I was like, surely this has to be the week that the Giants get put in the top 5. Nope. You've got, I don't know. It's just ridiculous whatever. I get salty about these power rankings simply because the Giants just never get the respect they deserve. Never. And other teams, when they surge, it's like, okay, boom, you're in. But the Giants, you got to prove it twice as much in order to get just as far as some other teams in terms of the national respect and recognition. But I get it. It's early in the season. So, and also there's some red flags. We're going to dive into the red flags, but also what has been just crucial for this hot start for the Giants into the numbers in just a minute. And before we get into it, today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here. Warriors right in the thick of it. Huge win in Game 3. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking the Warriors or diving into player props, from three-pointers, always fun with Steph on your team, to steals, to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, here we go. There's some numbers to get into here, folks. Some numbers that don't necessarily add up, but at the end of the day, 19 wins are in the bank, 29 games in, and there is going to be a question about how do you sustain this? And also, I have comments to make about intangibles, right? I think that there's definitely an intangibles factor with the 2025 Giants. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow, it's a breakdown, crossover, what am I saying, with Javier Reyes from Locked On Padres as the Giants get ready to go and face the San Diego Padres, who started off the year kind of vibing super high like the Giants are right now, but are currently on a 4-game losing streak. And so that'll be a really interesting conversation. It's always a lot of fun talking with Javi as the Giants get set for a 2-game series in San Diego. So anyway, I want to get into how clutch hitting and a shutdown bullpen have been the keys. And I say a shutdown bullpen, but they still, you had a 4-1 lead in one of these 29 games and blew it in the 9th. So mostly a shutdown bullpen and clutch hitting being the key factor, because if you look at this, and we've looked at this before, but it's worth continuing to monitor, the Giants overall, something that'll stand out if you were to go to fangraphs.com and look at their calculation of wins above replacement, and you can sort by position players and then by pitchers. And so I'm just talking about the position players, and something that really stands out for a team that's 19-10 is that the Giants rank 22nd out of 30 in wins above replacement by their position players. Now, you might want to use that as an excuse to say, WAR, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Well, I'm going to kind of push back on that and just point out, okay, we can literally go line by line here and say Giants team batting average is 229. The league average batting average is 240 as of this day. The Giants team, and I'll just tell you where that ranks too. The Giants team batting average ranks 22nd. Their team on base percentage is 311, which is 17th. So that means they're walking. But still, the league average on base percentage is 315. So they're below average in that category as well. Now, the Giants' slugging percentage is 21st at 377. The league average is 388. And so all three numbers, average on-base slugging, being below average. Their walk rate is 5th at 10.2%. The league average is 9.0%, so that's good. And the Giants' strikeout rate is 22.8%. This was a number that initially was one of the highest in the game, but now it's 14th, so they've kind of normalized and calmed down. You do have some guys who really don't strike out, like Jung-Hoo Lee, so that does skew it a little bit, but nonetheless, their overall strikeout rate, 22.8%, league average, 22.2%, so just barely a little bit more than league average. But how about runs scored? They're 8th. So how are you below average in everything, average on base slugging, but your runs scored is 8th? It's 2 runs more than the Dodgers have scored. And have they played the same number of games? No, the Dodgers have played 1 less game. And so I would assume the Dodgers will score more than 2 runs in their next game, but still, nonetheless, it's around the same number of runs as the Dodgers. They've scored like 19 more runs than the actually 29, what am I saying? More runs than the Padres. And also we'll get into runs allowed a little bit later, but nonetheless, the easiest way to explain this is then you can look on Fangraphs also at how have all the teams done in what Fangraphs classifies as high leverage situations. And the Giants come in with the best numbers in the National League in what has been considered high leverage situations. And it's just crazy how, I mean, it is a small sample, so I don't want to say it's crazy because anything can really happen. We're talking 114 high leverage plate appearances, which is not many in the grand scheme of things. When all is said and done, each full-time player will bat like 600 plus times. So we're talking a total of just 114 for a whole team combined. It's you could call it random, you could call it clutch, you could call it whatever you want, but in those high leverage situations, they're hitting 278. Remember, as a team, what were they? 220 something overall batting average. Their on base percentage is 357 in high leverage situations, and their slugging is 505. So overall, that's 38% above average offensive production in high leverage situations, whereas overall on the season, they've been about 4% below average. And so they've done their best work when it's mattered the most on offense. And their strikeout rate, like really notably, is only 14.9% in high leverage situations. And so that's kind of a big deal. Like it, and that actually can speak to approach, I think. Like, and really perhaps you can point to a change at the top with Buster Posey having an influence with kind of having a 2-strike approach, which is something we've seen disappear from this team. We saw disappear under the Farhan Zaidi regime. They basically just wanted you to hunt middle pitches, just pitches in your happy zone and take a rip at it, like kind of regardless of the situation. And it has been different, and you can see it at times. Although the last time I checked on all this, the Giants were actually still below average in like runners on third, less than 2 outs, getting that guy in. So clutch situations, or I should say high leverage situations, doesn't always mean runner on third, less than 2 outs. It means they've got a leverage index where basically that at bat has the potential to swing things in a significant way. And in those situations, the Giants have just done really well, and they have not struck out. That's the lowest or second lowest in baseball strikeout rate in high leverage situations. So in let's say, medium leverage situations, the Giants rank 29th in baseball with a 73 weighted runs created plus. They've had way more medium leverage situations, and it's the worst in the National League with a 73 weighted runs created plus, hitting 211, 266 on base, 347 slugging. So don't let the Giants bat in a medium leverage situation. Just kidding, because I don't really think that all of this is predictive as much of it is like storytelling about what has happened. Not so much what will happen, but what has happened. Now, low leverage, let's see. I don't know. They are 8th with a 110 weighted runs created plus. So solid in low leverage, great in high leverage, horrible in medium leverage. What does it mean? Nothing, I don't think, except that strikeout rate could be meaningful. That's the one thing that to me like does stand out as something that could be like, hey, I'm not going to strike out in this big situation where there has been an emphasis from the top down on putting the ball in play in important situations. Like, yeah, if it's not like a high leverage situation, I don't know. I mean, maybe you don't have that approach, but with the game on the line, they have put the ball in play. That the numbers bear that out. We'll see if that continues. This will be something I'm going to continue to check on as the season goes on, considering how clutch that they have been this year. And I do want to look at, okay, how are they still doing with, runners on third, less than 2 outs, runners on second, no outs? Are they advancing that guy to third? So I'll try to pull that up for us. And also some areas of concern, like getting into that defense, getting into the starting pitching numbers, especially outside of Logan Webb. I also want to mention the bullpen. So much to get into in just a minute. And before we do, today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by Game Time. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. Can you imagine these last 2 games? If you were there, great job. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of the garlic fries. And if you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever with last minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as Game Time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On. And as the Giants get ready to face the Colorado Rockies for 4, I don't want to promise anything, but the Rockies are a team you should be able to beat. And so it figures to be a fun series to attend. I can count on them to help grab tickets that meet my needs. I love that you can see your exact preview of your seat view before you buy, and the lowest price guarantee. Those are my favorite things. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, here we go. We're going to get into much more as the Giants are rolling, heading into an off day, a well-deserved off day, and then 2 in San Diego, and then 4 at home against the Rockies, and then back out on the road. So things just roll on here. And, I do want to get into the numbers in those clutch situations. I'm going to see if I can quickly grab that. I meant to have that. I do apologize. Runs per game, by the way, whoops. I looked at by year, not by team. Runs per game, the Giants are at 4.66, which ranks them just below the Dodgers. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 9th. So when everything is below average on base and slugging, and yet you're 9th in runs per game, that it's just explained by what I said, which is the fact that they've been clutch. They've been good in high leverage situations. Okay, so runner on third, less than 2 outs. I do have those numbers pulled up. And so that the league average success rate is always around 50%. I shouldn't say always, but it is this year. It has been in recent years that I've been following this. It's at 48.7%, and the Giants are below that at 45.2%. And so clutch situations does not always mean, like, you could have a runner on third in less than 2 outs in a 6-0 game, and it doesn't make it high leverage. Okay, so they've been below average in that category towards the bottom of Major League Baseball. And then there's also the runner on second with no outs and advancing that runner to third. And the league average is also around 50%, a little above 50, 51.2. And the Giants are at 45.8. So in both of those situations, the Giants are at like 45, 46% when league average is about 50. So again, it's below average that they've been able, like, situational at bats have been below average on the whole. High leverage, different stories. So I'd like to see, I mean, you could break it down and, like, how about in a high leverage situation with a runner on third and less than 2 outs? I don't have access to that kind of detailed information, but they also have this productive out percentage. League average is 29%. I don't even know what exactly goes into that, but the Giants are third last in productive out percentage. Whatever goes into that, I have no idea at Baseball Reference. But anyway, so just wanted to point that out, that high leverage is different than situational hitting. So did want to mention the bullpen, give them a big shout out. Hayden, Birdsong, electric again. Like, I just can't even explain how crazy it is that it seems like almost every day we're looking at the box score when the game is over, doing our little post-game video and just looking at, okay, the starter gave up a few runs or whatever, and then the bullpen came in and gave up none. Like, it's just happened over and over and over again, and it happened again yesterday. And Hayden, Birdsong, 3 scoreless innings, 5 strikeouts, no walks. So the bullpen has just been a huge part of the 19-10 record. Their bullpen ERA is second best in baseball at 2.30. Padres are first, and you're going in there, so that's definitely going to be a point of discussion for Javi and I on this crossover episode. But 2.30 bullpen ERA, Padres at 1.63. The starters ERA, which includes Logan Webb having a sub-2 ERA, Giants are at 22nd with a 4.20 earned run average. Although the fielding independent pitching is much better, so like, and expected ERAs are better in many cases. Like Landon Roop, 4.56 ERA, 3.22 expected ERA. Justin Verlander, 4.99 ERA, 3.84 expected ERA. Jordan Hicks, 6.12 ERA, 3.89 expected ERA. So Robbie Ray is the only guy with a not good expected ERA, and his actual ERA is 3.73, the second best behind Logan Webb at 1.98. So things are still weird, and it does look like positive things are probably coming for Roop and Verlander and Hicks, but maybe some regression for Robbie Ray, and Webb has been elite, but maybe some regression for Logan Webb as well. One of the things, though, so the red flags, I guess, would be not so much the starting pitching when you look at the underlying numbers, really. And we've looked at even at like pitch quality and maybe just Robbie Ray, but you could actually expect the starters to get better, I think, on the whole, especially when it comes to these veteran guys like Verlander and Hicks, who have both put up ugly looking ERAs. But the defense is one area of concern. And then there's also like individual players that we could talk about, like Willy Adames, and just how it's just not been there from a numbers perspective this season. He's still sitting on like negative -0.6 wins above replacement. LaMonte Wade sitting at -0.7. Like, those are going to be two of the worst numbers in baseball in terms of wins above replacement. But I do want to, like, the intangible factor with Willy Adames, like, I think he has helped them win games, like multiple games, just with his personality and presence in the organization alone. I really believe that. Like, Buster said it when they introduced him, that he's a connector of people, and I think that that's an understatement, like a huge understatement. But getting into like something that's a little more tangible is defense. And the Giants, like, this is what I'm saying, they're tied for first with the fewest errors at 10 in 29 games. And yet, per Fangraphs, defensive runs above average, which includes positional adjustments, accounting for that certain positions are more important than others, they're 24th at -7.3 runs above average. And so if you look at something like, I don't know, defensive runs saved, I actually planned on just looking at outs above average, but by defensive runs saved, the Giants are actually 18th at +3. I mean, +3 means above average. So that's not bad. But the issue is, I mean, not the issue, but another number or like source would be StatCast and outs above average. And the Giants are 28th with -8 outs above average. Only the Guardians and A's have worse numbers here in this category. And then if we look at the individual players that make this up, and then we look at the Giants, and hopefully they don't, oh yeah, we're going to take away needing to be qualified. So Matt Chapman comes in with +4, Jung-Hoo Lee +1, Koss and Matos haven't played much, but at 0. Willy Adames -5 outs above average. So we have mentioned concern here. I don't buy this with Mike Yastrzemski at -2, Heliot Ramos -1. I don't really buy this. Tyler Fitzgerald -2. We've seen good, we've seen bad, I think, from Fitzgerald. But is there some concern? Like, it starts to be a little more concerning when Willy Adames like struggles in every area of his game, and you just hope that he turns it around. Like, it's not like he's been really good defensively and you're just waiting for the bat to come around. It's like, okay, well, he hasn't played good defense, he hasn't run the bases well, and he hasn't hit. And so there's definitely patience when you're 19-10, and the personality, I think, is like off the charts. Yet nonetheless, I would just like to see some better play from Willy Adames. So I don't want to harp on that too much. He's in a new team. You know, there's probably pressure to live up to the contract, and the team is doing well, and he's been such a great leader, and it's early still. So it's just something to watch moving forward. Little bit of a red flag, I would say. So that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers tomorrow, crossover with Javier from Locked On Padres. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, I'm Ben Kaspick. Thanks to check me out on Twitter, at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much. So thank you in advance, and thanks to everyone who's done so already. Can't wait to be with you again tomorrow. Thanks again for listening. Today, you are now Locked On Giants.